Ayo, 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 what is good? It is I, Callie with a K, that diagnosed mom, not to be confused with the diagnosed mom, as I am quite certain I am not the only one. Oh my goodness, 2024. What is the happening? I hope you enjoyed my 2024 episode. If you haven't heard it, go hear it, especially if you just like feeling down about 2024, you want to be different, you want to make a change, go listen to it. It's a good one. It wasn't exactly what I planned for like 2024 episode, the New Year one, but it worked out. We did our last Christmas on Monday when that one released, so that was really good. So it was like our last one, but also our first one for 2024, so that's kind of wild. Overall though, is it just me or did like 2023 feel off? Like it wasn't real. It just kind of went by. I don't necessarily like a lot of big things happened. Like Trav graduated. I mean, there are other things that my brain is just like not processing. I can't even think. Oh, there was a cousin who got married. A lot of Christmases. I mean, there was just so much that happened. And I just kind of blanked. Like, it feels like all that stuff happened like a long time ago. Not necessarily in 2023. Like, Christmas, I am a huge Christmas fan. Like, I love the decorating. I love the spirit of it. Just a big fan of it, right? And I did not want to decorate at all. And my sister-in-law was like, "Are you okay?" And then my mom was like, "That doesn't seem like you." And I was just kind of like, "I know, but like I don't have the energy. I don't really feel like decorating. Like it's not going to make me happy. I don't really care about it. Like I was just kind of over it." And that's never happened to me. Like I was that person. We had like 4 trees either last year or the year before and lights in the living room that were up around up all year round, lights in the bedroom that were up all year round. Like it was wild. I was gonna say balls to the wall, but I don't like it. I don't you know how I feel about balls. So let's be real here. I did not do that. But normally I go ham. And I just wasn't feeling it this year. I didn't want to do it. And then of course Trav was like wanting to hang one particular decoration and I was like, we can't just hang one. Like if we're gonna hang up one, we need to hang up a few or do a few things. So stockings went up and then a few like table items went out. But it didn't really feel like a normal celebratory holiday. It just kind of came and went and it was super fun and I had a lot of like a blast going everywhere and celebrating it with people and exchanging gifts and watching the kiddos, but like it just kind of passed and it was just done and I didn't really feel like it impacted anything. And it's just like, what happened? I was actually talking to my therapist about it and she was like, a lot of people actually have been saying that. And I was like, that's so crazy. But then I started thinking about 2020, which was when, it shut down, like the world shut down, and how that year just kind of like all I know is we bought a house in January, quit my job, got pregnant, end of February, had to put down dog and get new dog, end of February, early March, and then I don't remember anything after that until I gave birth in October. So it wasn't like that because obviously, because I remember things that happened this year. It just seems like they didn't happen this year. Well, last year. Oh my gosh, it's 2024. Duh. So it's just like, it was weird. I don't even know really how to explain it. Pretty much the only thing I can really understand or reason with myself is that the reason I didn't want to decorate this year is because I now like have 2 toddlers that are in full-blown toddler stage and just did not have the mental capacity to even try to decorate. And then I've been sick with this flare up. I don't even know if I should call it a flare up. That seems to be what everyone, calls it though, because like some flare-ups last a month to 3 months to like recover from, and it's just, that seems insane to me, because my flare-ups have only, like, the longest one had lasted before 2023, the longest one I'd ever had, I feel like only lasted about a week. I say only, but like normally it's like 1 to 3 days, and then it was a week. And the one I had my birthday last year, that's so weird. So I'm referring to 2023 when I say last year, obviously, because that was the year before 2024. Hi, I'm Callie. It's me. If you're confused, just go listen to like the Hyper Callie one. You'll be more confused, but you'll also understand why my brain is like this a little bit. Also, it's just kind of random and weird. But basically, I had a flare up for like at least a month. And then my recent one, it's been like 2 months, almost 2.5. For a recap, I'm only eating eggs and cheese. Like, I put cheese in my eggs. I actually put, my mom thinks it's disgusting, but I put honey on my eggs and cheese. I think it tastes amazing. And when I put ketchup on I put ketchup on my eggs. Sorry, not sorry to all my in-laws. Except for Gima P, I know you like it. But when I put ketchup on my eggs, it actually tastes like popcorn. Like buttery, cheesy popcorn. I don't understand it. I have no clue why. And then I'm like, oh, shnikey, do I have COVID? Is it fudging with my taste buds? And like, I don't feel sick other than my tummy, so no. We're gonna say no. But, like, literally, that's been my diet. Anytime I've tried to add new things, it hasn't gone over well. Tried to add just boiled chicken with some cheese. That didn't do well. Tried to add, like, foods that were my safe food before this, and they haven't gone well. So I, like, genuinely don't know what's wrong, and I'm not able to get any of the nutrients I need. And so the job that I was really looking forward to getting and having this year, like, I started this week. I worked Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday I was literally just like The Walking Dead. Like, I was supposed to train all day Wednesday, and I could not get up. I was so weak. And when I had lifted like a tray Tuesday while I was training, my arm almost gave out. Like, I have just not been able to eat things that can help my body, and it's hard to, I have to pick my kids up in like freaking slow motion, you know? Like, it's like, it's so bizarre. Like, I've never been weak. I have never felt weak. Like, there's been points where I've been stuck in bed and stuff, but I've never had to address any physical weaknesses. Like, I've never had to exert physical energy when that's happened, like after that happens. So this is just like really weird and hard for me, because I was always like, that was something I prided myself in, was how strong I was, even though I didn't always look it. Like, I grew up doing manual labor, like cutting trees, taking care of land, all that fun stuff. And then I was in a bunch of athletics, and so like, that's what I've known my whole life, and that's how I've gotten used to my body being. And even after like not being in athletics and gaining weight and everything, like, I still felt very strong, and I was capable of a lot of things. And now I'm just like, I'm losing weight because I'm not eating, and what I'm eating isn't really like doing enough for my body. One of our friends was like insanely flabbergasted because I eat like 2 meals a day of eggs, because that's all I can really handle, and it's like 6 to 8 eggs at a time, and he just like could not fathom how that happened. And I'm like, yo, we get 60 eggs at Walmart for like $9. You should try it out sometime. But yeah, we're going through eggs like crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if when this is all done, if like I can't eat eggs anymore. I'm like hoping that's not gonna be a thing, because eggs have been like my go-to. But I've reached out to doctors, well, my doctor, and they want me to do the food map diet. I don't know. But here's the thing, I haven't been able to eat gluten, pork, or beef since I gave birth to our daughter. So that was in 2020. And I can't try things without being at risk of not being able to take care of the kids. Like, this whole week I wasn't able to take care of the kids, and it drives me insane, and I get crazy guilt. Mom guilt's a huge thing, and I was gonna kind of talk about it in this episode because I'm focusing on postpartum depression for this one. But I think postpartum depression is a big enough topic on its own, and mom guilt can be kind of like a mini one sometime. So I'm trying to do the best I can with my body, and that's like really hard. But yeah, I'm just kind of tired of feeling this way. I'm very much ready for my body to be at a point where I can eat healthy things without being in pain, and it's hard to like tell your doctor that through email, like, hey, this has been going on for months. You've changed my meds. I'm doing what you're telling me to do, and it's still like I don't know what's going on. Like, we're pretty positive I have an ulcer, at least one ulcer in my stomach, and they gave me meds for that. And then I'm supposed to be taking Miralax twice a week, but they also they doubled my Linzess, so it's just kind of like I don't understand why there's still sometimes pain, and then why, like, the ulcers clearly mean that's what makes me nauseated, and when I eat, like, what happens when it hits my stomach is it's in a knot, and sometimes it just burns because the med that I have to take for my ulcers gives me really bad acid. Well, I already had acid reflux, so I was already taking more of omeprazole than you can, like, get over the counter. So now that's not even enough because there's, like, added onto it. And it's just, like, the meds don't stop. And I'm just, like, I finally gotten to a, like, good point where I've accepted that medication is going to be okay and that it's here to help me. And it's not always going to be, like, a forever thing. They're temporary. They're meant to be, at least the ones that for my mental illnesses are meant to be getting taken off of. So that's definitely a goal in the years. So yeah, there's just a lot going on. And yeah, that was why, if you follow me on Instagram at that diagnosed mom, I posted a reel about how I didn't record or post anything on Thursday because I could not. I wasn't in a good headspace, and then I also just wasn't feeling well, like, all week, like I said. So I'm just kind of here. It is Saturday evening, and I'm doing what I can with what I can, doing the best I can, and I'm trying. Today was a good day. I was able to get out, got new glasses, ran some errands with the kiddos, went into the grocery store, but then, like, I hadn't eaten, and then I come home and I eat because I know I need to eat eggs, of course, and then, like, so the gluten-free Nature's Bakery bars, is that what they're called? Used to be, like, okay for me and tasted really good. So of course, like, I wanted one of those, and I'm not 100% sure it's at okay because my stomach just started kind of being weird and, like, in pain a little bit, so I'll need to keep an eye on that. And it's just so frustrating. But enough about that. Like I mentioned, really want to focus on postpartum depression for this one, so it's going to be kind of a heavy hitter. I am going to say that a trigger warning for self-harm and suicidal thoughts, any tie with, like, you might have with depression or postpartum depression. I just want you to know, like, I'm gonna be kind of going into my full experience because I just want to be as honest as I can so that everyone knows there's other people out there, they're not alone, and you can get through it. And if this helps in any way, shape, or form, I just want you to know that I got through it. So I did a lot of research on postpartum because I honestly had no real clue what it was. I knew I was at risk for it just because I think everybody is, but, like, I was already on anti-anxiety meds. So it was just something that was, like, in the back of my mind, like, hey, you might get this because of this, but no one really gave an in-depth, clear definition of what it was. Everyone is different and everyone's experience is different, and so I really had no idea the impact that it could have on me and my baby and my family. So I remember like getting pamphlets from the doctor about it and then mentioning it and saying like, if you have any questions, just don't be afraid to reach out. And I think they should tell you and explain way more. They should be very real, because it is insane the things that your brain can come up with when you go through that. And it is insane how you feel. And you don't want to feel that way. You feel ashamed for feeling that way, because a part of postpartum depression is like not bonding with your baby and feeling like detached. And that is like, for me, it was even just a hint of that feeling. I felt so ashamed. And looking back, like, it wasn't my fault. Like, I wasn't choosing to disregard my baby, but it was like, because I felt that way, I didn't think it was okay. Like, obviously it's not okay to feel that way, but I felt like I couldn't talk to people about it because they would judge me. And I quickly learned, well, not quickly, it took me fracking forever, oh my goodness, that I needed to ask for help and get help with that. But it's just, I feel like it needs to be discussed further with your OB, or they need to have someone who specializes in postpartum, or a therapist. Like, it should definitely be something that is way more talked about, in my personal opinion. I found out that 1 in 7 women actually get postpartum depression, and it's usually within the 2 or 3 months after delivering, but it could happen before delivery or right after as well. So that was kind of confusing for me, because I was like, how does that happen before delivery? But I suppose if it's like right before delivery, your hormones are changing already, and they've been changing, and they're going to be drastically different. And then right after, same reason, hormones drastically different. But it's actually interesting. So postpartum depression has actually been a lot of women's first sign of depression or experience with depression, which is so wild. Like, when you think about it, how the brain works and everything, like, you just gave birth to human life. Like, you just pushed a freaking fruit out of you. Like, they have all those apps where it compares to how big the baby is and everything, and like fruits. You just pushed a fucking watermelon out, man. And then you feel nothing towards the watermelon, you don't want to coddle it, you don't want to give it kisses, you don't want to relish in the smell. Babies have a smell, and it's a great smell, but I'm referring to a watermelon as well. Like, you just feel nothing, and it's the weirdest thing ever, because for one, I wasn't educated. For two, I knew what the expectations were of what I should be feeling after giving birth. And for three, like, I just gave birth to a human baby and brought life into this world. Why am I feeling all these negative feelings attached to that? That should not, like, it's just insane how that stuff works. And it's like, when people say they don't believe in postpartum depression, I'm just like, you don't have to believe in that, but just understand that the feelings that people are feeling in those moments aren't coming from nowhere. Like, they aren't just like out of the blue. Like, there are reasons, there are functions in the brain that are being weird, and something's just not working out right, and we're not choosing it. Like, I feel like a lot of people, like the whole, you choose to be gay, blah, 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 you choose to be sad, you choose to be depressed. I'm like, no, I get up and fight myself every day, and there are days where I don't get up and fight myself, and I let myself like drown in my sadness. But then the next day I'm like, you gotta get up, you gotta go. And that's because I have the family that I have. If I didn't have the family that I have, you know how hard it would be for me to get up out of bed? It would be insanely hard. I wouldn't probably be on like antidepressants or anything, because I wouldn't have gone through postpartum depression, but it would have happened eventually. I just know that because I'm constantly trying to figure out who I want to be and who I am. And I learned, my therapist, shout out to you, my love. She's helped me learn so many things, and I'm going to share some of that wisdom with you guys. So she helped me understand that I can't just like become the person I want to be and stay that way forever. Like we all go through phases in our life. Just if you think about the age, age brackets. If I was the person I was when I was a teenager, good Lord, no. If I was the person I was before having kids, completely different person. Like, it's okay that I don't know who I am, but I need to know my values and my morals and my goals, and then I can go from there, because it's always changing. Life is always changing. I'm always changing. I'm learning new things about myself every day. I was so ignorant when it came to freaking unions. Like, my brain thought this was like something that people could join, that the government offered, when in reality it's pretty much the complete opposite. And I asked Trav, and I love that he didn't like dumb me down or make me feel silly for not knowing, but he just explained that no, it's like workers coming together to advocate for their rights, and like things like, which is freaking baloney. Like, companies make money. You can afford to probably do things for your employees that are working for you. And if you can't, then you probably shouldn't be running a company. That's just my opinion. Like, I just want to go to Denmark, man. They got health insurance for stay-at-home moms. It's crazy. And a huge part of me being a stay-at-home mom is because daycare is so expensive. Like, in-home is almost sometimes more than actual daycare centers. If I had a job, it would cover daycare. Like, there's no point. And I would also still love a job, because we're like, the potential of living like paycheck to paycheck again is just terrifying, and serving is like a great way for me to make income. My personality just, I've been told I'm charming and charismatic. Yes, very charismatic. Callie, you are very charismatic. Yes. Okay, but my point of all that was that I was very ignorant in so many things, and that I'm learning new things every day. And that's a huge part of this podcast, is I want to be educated. I want to have uncomfortable conversations, because I will get uncomfortable, but I also don't want to be offensive. Like, I want to learn, and even if I don't agree with things that I learn, I still want to be respectful and understanding, and I would hope that it would go both ways. So it's fracking crazy, man. But anyway, postpartum depression. I did a lot of research. I actually found out some stuff that I didn't even know about it. So it's like into 3 separate illnesses: postpartum blues, postpartum depression, and then postpartum psychosis. It's psychosis. I had a typo, but with my pencil. So I had a rhino. Is it a rhino if it's on paper with a pencil and not on a computer, so it's a typo? I'm going to say it's a rhino. I kind of like it. I got rhino. Yeah. So anywhere between like 15 to 50%, and then 85% experience like postpartum blues 10 days to a few weeks after delivering. The peak of that is the 4th or 5th day, but it can occur anywhere between 2 to 35 days, and it usually lasts only up to 2 weeks. So if it passed 2 weeks, that leads into postpartum depression. So I looked up symptoms, and it said like anxiety, irritability, mood swings, tearfulness, and fatigue. And like part of me was like, oh my gosh, I still have all of those things. But like the irritability for me is really bad before my period, and I always have to warn people around me. And my husband said something really funny, and he like asked my permission if he could say it, and like, because I know he doesn't mean it the way it sounds, like I just think it's so funny, especially how he says it. But some of you may get mad at me, and that's okay. You may get mad at him, and that's okay, because I know he doesn't mean it the way it comes off. But he was like, got them period feelings. So like anytime before my period, I'm always like, babe, it's that time, like I'm easily irritated, I just want you to know. And he's like, oh, got them parrot feelings. Just makes me cackle. It's really funny. But pretty much with just like any other mental illness, if you had like previous depression, it's more likely that you could go into a form of postpartum depression. And there's no treatment that's needed unless it lasts longer than 2 weeks, because like I said, after the 2 weeks, it's clearly not just postpartum blues, and it makes you want to like go into the next go into the next further thing, which is my experience. So I found that 1 in 7 women actually end up getting postpartum depression, and the time that it usually happens is between like the 2 to 3 months after delivery, but it could happen before delivery or right after as well. So it's kind of crazy because if it happens right after, you don't know that it's that until 2 weeks have kind of passed. And then I'm not sure, I'm guessing the before is just kind of, I would assume it's just the same feeling of detachment, kind of, and just like, bleh. But it has shown to be women's first time with depression. So, like, for me, I wasn't on any antidepressants until after I gave birth to our daughter. The symptoms that I found were depressed mood, which I found just like, I find it funny when they explain like illness with the word that's in the illness. So, like, postpartum depression, you have a depressed mood. Oh, thank you. Loss of interest, pleasure, and activities. Your sleep and appetite is disturbed. You have low energy, worthlessness, guilt, self-harm, suicidal, distracted, excessive fatigue, weight balance is rough, and then you struggle with baby bonding. Potential causes I thought was interesting is genetic. There's a fluctuation of hormone levels, which makes a lot of sense because it drops rapidly with birth, and then low thyroid hormones. It was kind of crazy going through the symptoms for me because I still, like, a lot of those I still have a problem with. Like, obviously the loss of interest, pleasure, and activities isn't as bad anymore in the depressed mood, but like my sleep is still messed up, my appetite is messed up, but I don't think that's due to the postpartum. And I've felt pretty worthless because I've had stomach issues. So again, I don't think it's the postpartum. Like, a lot of these I'm going through but aren't postpartum distracted. I've been distracted since I came out of my mom. Like, I probably was like, oh, mom, and then someone brought a balloon and I was like, balloon, even though my baby eyes probably couldn't see it. But yeah, my weight, like, there's so much. But I kind of want to get into, so when I was pregnant with our daughter, I had to have like an IV of magnesium, and it was awful. Like, I definitely know why I detached from that memory and just like don't feel anything. I had to have a catheter and I couldn't move out of the hospital bed for at least like a whole day. And this was like when I was only 6 months, and so the like body was like wanting her to come out, and it basically could not happen. It was not going to be safe and healthy for a baby. So they did that to stop it. And then yeah, I had a couple times where I had to go in because she just kept trying to come out, man. She was like, I'm tired of your freaking body. And I gained like 40 pounds with that child. Somehow all 40 came out of me with her. That whole part's still really confusing for me. Like, I know like fluids come out, the baby comes out, but at the end of the day, the baby only weighed like 6 pounds and 18 ounces. And then there's like the placenta, and I'm like, but the placenta, like I don't understand it. I need to do more research on that, but that's not what this episode was about. Pretty much like I delivered her a month early, so both my babies were delivered early. Our baby boy was actually delivered 2 months early, so yeah, our girl was just a month early. But the whole process, like the whole baby being pregnant process during COVID, I'm sure didn't help because like I couldn't go anywhere, but also I didn't want to go anywhere, so I was just a basic like lazy bum. And I own that. Like, I am pretty sure I ate like a whole case of Hawaiian rolls one time. Like, they were just so good. But it was kind of like, I'm a social person, so I think that was really hard for me. And then like after having her, not being able to like see people and go places with her, I think that did mess me up. Looking back, I didn't feel any certain way about it, but I know that was the postpartum depression now. I ended up like being in bed because I also had a flare up, or as far as I know, it was caused by like my brain, because that affects like stress affects your body, especially your gut. So I was going through all this and not medicated. I was basically in bed for like 3 months, and my mom and other people had to help with the baby girl, and I was basically not raising my own child, and that was really hard for me. It felt like I wasn't the mom, and I think people in my life got used to taking care of her and were basically acting like they were the mom, and that was not okay with me, especially because like I wasn't intentionally being sick or like feeling the way I was feeling. So that was really hard for me. It kind of put a wedge between me and some of the people in my life because I felt like I had to defend myself as the mom after I had gone through everything I did of like birthing her. I don't know why I keep saying it like that. That just sounds weird, but giving birth, bleh. And it was really hard for me. Like, I don't think people that were helping kind of saw how hard it was to watch other people take care of the baby that I loved and wanted to love. Like, obviously, I don't think I had like any feelings. So it's not that I didn't love her, because of course, like, I love her unconditionally. I loved her in my belly and I love her outside of it. But I don't think I felt like things other than guilt and worry and stress. And I was just kind of numb to everything. And then it started getting to the point where I was having, trigger warning, for self-harm. I was having these really bad thoughts of like seeing myself go in harm's way. Like, I would picture myself using a kitchen knife and just like, oh, this is so brutal, but I want to be real with everybody. And like, my cheeks are like heating because like I don't know if this is too much, and I don't know, but I want you to know that if you've gone through this, like, you're not alone, and like, I made it through, and if I can make it through, you can make it through. But I basically like pictured myself using a kitchen knife and just stabbing my stomach, and like, I just had these thoughts like all throughout the day. And so I was starting to experiment with like sharp utensils and everything, not knives, but just like makeup tools even. And it just like started gradually getting to the point where I needed to do it in order to feel something other than the feelings I had emotionally or being numb. Like, my therapist and I were trying to think of a way to explain it to Trav, because like, I wanted him to understand, like, I knew that doing it was bad. I knew it wasn't healthy. I knew that it like was not a good thing. Like, I still understand that today, but it felt like a release, and the only way my therapist and I could like think of to help explain that to him was like if he lifts, and like after he does a really big lift and he feels like good after it and everything, and just like a huge release of power. That's pretty much what it felt like. But it's so toxic. Like, that's not how you should be feeling that way. Like, there's so many more healthy ways: running, exercising, yoga, coloring, like, they're journaling, podcasting. Like, this is an outlet for me. This is kind of like something I can do instead of going down a deep hole in my brain back to that place. And I think I only ever got to, again, trigger warning for suicidal thoughts, I only got to the suicidal thoughts phase, or not phase, but like, I only thought about it maybe twice. All the other times were just about hurting me. But there was a time where I genuinely felt like my daughter was better off, my husband was better off, because I was just stuck in bed and not being able to do anything, and I was useless and worthless, and all of these feelings, when in reality, like, no, I just needed to ask for help, and I eventually did. I wish it had been sooner, but I wasn't ready. And it took my husband like pleading with me to get help and make an appointment, because I'm a very stubborn human, and I'm already on medication for my stomach, and I already have all these problems, and I didn't want to add to it. But at the end of the day, like, this was making all of those other things worse. The stress, the depression, like, I wasn't here. I was my own world, my own place, and I just didn't exist. And it's crazy because not everyone understands, and I'm sure some people don't believe in therapy and don't believe in medication, but if I didn't reach out and get help from someone, I honestly don't know what kind of state I would be in today, and I don't know what my family would look like. I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't have any, like, no, I'd be completely just floating if I was still here. Like, I just have no idea. I can't even explain how much, like, I don't have those thoughts anymore. Now I acknowledge, like, if a thought pops in my head, because I'm weird, so I think about weird things, like when I'm driving. Like, I don't think about driving off the road, but my brain is like, oh, what would happen? Like, would the car roll? Would it, like, what would happen? Not that I'm gonna do it, but that's like stuff my brain thinks. And now I'm at the point where I can acknowledge that instead of being like, oh, that would be great if I went off the road and got hurt and no one had to deal with me. Like, I don't have those thoughts anymore. So I am able to acknowledge them and deal with them and talk about them. I think that was a huge thing for me. Like, I opened up to my husband about them finally. And so we have a system now. Like, I still do get self-harm thoughts but it's only, I've noticed the pattern and I understand it now, but it's only when I'm having like extremely bad stomach problems. So like, I've been going through this, I don't want to call it a flare-up, but that's basically what it is, because it just hasn't healed properly. But this stomach thing for like 1 to 2 months, like this whole week, someone had to help take care of the kiddos because I wasn't able to do it without pain. Like, moving just makes it worse. And like, we went and ran errands today, and my stomach's like, I didn't eat beforehand because I knew it would hurt, and so I ate when I got home, and like, my stomach is just burning. And it's not great, but like, hopefully I can just deal with it. I don't really know what point I'm at anymore, but I mean, I can't work at the job that I got as a server because I couldn't even lift a drink tray. Like, I'm still only eating eggs. I'm trying to drink as much water as I can, but like, my arm was literally like almost just went limp. Like, I could not lift. I'm so weak. I've never been this weak in my life, and it's the most frustrating thing because I used to like pride myself so much on like the strength I had, even though it didn't look like I would have it. I know I was strong. Like, I grew up middle of nowhere, a bunch of land, helped cut trees, helped do manual labor, like, was athletic, did a lot of sports, like lifting kids even, and then being a server. I was able to do all that stuff before, and now it's becoming like super hard. So it's been a huge wake-up call that I want to prioritize exercising when I'm able to. I'm supposed to have a doctor's appointment within the next 2 weeks. I don't really know. We're kind of at the point where we're thinking maybe a referral to Mayo might be the right place to be, just because like, no matter what I do, like, brown rice fudged up my stomach. Brown rice, no gluten, none of that. And like, I had it with eggs, so then I'm like, okay, it's literally just anything I eat. Anything I can eat. And eggs, luckily, because they're not like dense, and they're not liquid. I don't know, they're weird, but they work fine. They're manageable. Like, I'm nauseated, but I have pills for that because they're pretty positive. I have an ulcer too, which is not fun. Hashtag started when I was 9. So yeah, this week was kind of rough. It's been kind of rough, but I can't imagine like having postpartum depression on top of all these other physical things going on. And I'm just like extremely grateful. I mean, it took me months. Like, our daughter was born in October. It took me months to go for a walk with her. Like, I did not go for a walk with her until springtime of 2021. And I'm going to plug them again. I'm going to shout them out. But Morbid, that is when I started listening to your episodes, 2021. And you are what I listened to walk. You are what kept me going. Like, obviously, I need to acknowledge that I did as well. Like, I kept myself going, but you were the start of it, because I was still having extreme problems with emotionally bonding with our daughter. I kind of just felt like a placeholder. Like, I'm supposed to be your mom. I'm definitely going to take care of you and do the things I need to do, but I'm not, like, I didn't feel like I don't want to say acting like a mom, because everyone is different, but in my eyes, I wasn't acting like the mom I wanted to be and thought I would always be, like, over coddly and just like overly loving and playing, and like, I didn't do that until she was like 6 to 9 months maybe. and I still feel so guilty about it. And at the end of the day, she's not going to remember it. So if you're like me and went through it and are still going through it, are currently going through it, they're not going to remember. The best thing you can do right now is make sure that you're okay, to take care of them and to establish a healthy atmosphere for yourself, your brain, your family. It's okay to ask for help. Like, yes, I went to my primary doctor and my therapist and got on medication. I know not everyone can do that, but you're going to have to figure out an outlet that can at least help you. And you need to, like, write down your feelings. And if you don't want to feel that way, find solutions, you know? And if you think you can change yourself that way, that's awesome. I applaud you. I was not able to do that. It's actually kind of crazy because I know a lot of people, I don't want to say look down on postpartum depression, but like, the experience I've had discussing it with males, the few times I have, there's one instance in particular that sticks out. There's a guy that I used to work with at one of the restaurants I worked at who was in his 40s, and he asked me about postpartum depression. I don't remember how it got brought up, and in my brain I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, like, people need to be more educated. Of course I'm going to talk to this person who's a male who has no idea. And so I told him, like, how hard it was to get out of bed to literally take care of myself, let alone my child, and how I had self-harm and suicidal thoughts, and like, I didn't even shower for like 4 days, and just that's what I told him. This mother pooper was like, oh, so postpartum depression is just laziness. Ooh, I know. Like, Callie 10 years ago would have turned beet red and would have been like, well, no, like, no, that's not what it is at all, and probably got like way more emotionally upset. Callie today, in that moment, said, no, that is insanely disrespectful. Like, I just told you I self-harmed. Like, I told him that was not okay. He didn't apologize. It took 4 people telling him he needed to apologize before he did, one of them being the manager. And I basically told him, like, listen, you're uneducated, and so I forgive you, but I also lost all respect for you because I told you what it was like for me, and you degraded that and made it seem like it was nothing when that impacted my whole life. Like, I changed completely after giving birth, and I definitely did. Like, I'm a no bullshit person now. Like, I created boundaries for people that I was like, listen, like, if you're gonna be in my life, you need to step up, because I'm not gonna have my daughter go through anything I went through with any sort of fact. Like, no, she is priority. I am not. Don't do it for me, do it for her. So to have this guy in his 40s who's oblivious about a bunch of things listen, like, actively listen to me explaining my experience with it after asking, like, he asked, I did not push that on him, and to just say, oh, it's laziness, like, oh, excuse my language, but fuck you, bro. No. Like, no. And no one agreed with him. Like, everyone thought it was super disrespectful and insane. It's just like, it's really disappointing. It's really disappointing that, like, in a human form for me. And yeah, it was rough. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say about my experience, because I also just, like, don't remember the months after very well, other than how I laid in bed, watched other people take care of her, and then the next thing I remember is crying in the corner, naked, in the bathroom, with something that I used for self-harm, and my husband just coming up and saying, will you please, like, go see somebody and talk to your doctor about meds? And I finally just said yes. And then the next thing after that I remember is taking my daughter for a walk, and it took a pretty long time. I think it took until, like, her personality started showing for me to actually form a stable emotional relationship with her, which is, I hate admitting that, but that's the truth. Like, as her baby, she was a baby to me, you know? Like, she was my baby, but I had no idea how to feel about her because I was going through that stuff mentally. And I hate admitting that. Like, I hate saying that. Like, that didn't happen with me for our son. Like, immediately I was goo goo gaga for that baby. And I know it's because I had everything figured out before I got pregnant. Like, I was on the meds for a while and I had a system and I knew what I needed to do to make sure postpartum depression didn't happen again. And so, again, she'll never know and she'll never remember, but I will know and I will remember. And the thing I can do now is to make up for that. And then when I have this illness, this like chronic illness that just comes in uninvited, mind you, whenever it freaking wants, it just tears everything away. And I go back into the guilt because even though I'm not the reason, like, I'm not eating bad things, okay? Okay? I may have, like, indulged in Reese's, like, 2 weeks ago because they're gluten-free and they used to be okay. Never doing it again. It was not okay. And then Mexican food was the first thing I tried because all I ever ate was, like, Mexican rice, chicken, and cheese. And that was my go-to. Never doing that again either. I've been on eggs, like, consistently every day. Oh, also, in case anybody's wondering, I eat like 6 to 8 per meal, and I only usually have up to 2 meals a day. So, like, we buy eggs in the 60 packs, and they're only like $8.30, like $8.30 at Walmart. So, check it out, because that's fracking wild. But I'm not doing anything wrong. The only thing I can think of that I'm doing wrong is being stressed and having like anxiety and not doing an outlet for it. Other than this is like a huge outlet, but it's not a physical outlet. I think I need to hit up that yoga, and that's the thing. I know that I can do all that, but I don't want to because I'm lazy sometimes, and I just, like, things are just hard. And I know that, and my body's weak, but, like, I'm like, those are just excuses. I need to try something, like, even meditation. Callie, if you're listening to this, you're gonna yawn. Okay, so the third type I really wanted to talk about because I had no idea that these were things, but it's postpartum psychotic. And 1 of 500 mothers are treated, or 1 out of 500 mothers get it, and then it needs to be treated immediately. It shows as early as 48 to 72 hours after delivery. Symptoms are restlessness, insomnia, irritability, confusion, delusions, paranoia, and impairment. So I would say that it could be very hard to distinguish between all 3 of these because, you know, if it's just a little bit, it's going to be postpartum blues. But then if you add a little bit of extra with the length, then it's with the length. So like a little bit of more symptoms plus the length is postpartum depression. But then if it turns into like delusions and paranoia and like your personality's changing, that's when it gets to the postpartum psychotic, and I didn't even know that was a thing. So that was kind of crazy to learn about that, and I'm just so grateful that I reached out for help and found and talked to people that I needed to talk to and create boundaries. And life's just been kind of crazy since then, and it probably will continue to be crazy all the way through everything, you know? Like, I don't have many words left to say about it because it's insane how much we can all still learn but choose not to. I'm also just like really, really exhausted right now, and my brain doesn't have a lot of fuel. I feel really out of it and dazed and confused. That sounded like a really creepy laugh. But I can end this one on a positive note. I have 7 followers, and there have been 33 listens or plays throughout all my episodes. So that's kind of cool. And 7 is definitely my favorite number, although I do want it to exceed that. Like, but I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. Definitely not a podcast genius. As I yawn in the microphone, yeah, learning a lot here. I appreciate you all for listening. I would love feedback. I know it's kind of hard to do if you're listening like on your phone and everything, but yeah, we're gonna get there. This is like, this podcast, and even knowing people are listening to it, I'm just like, this is what is helping me go to tomorrow, like, just get through tomorrow, and then another one, and then another one, and slowly, like, everything's gonna be okay, and I will get there. I believe it. I believe in a thing called love. I haven't done my singing for you guys. I'm a walking jukebox and I haven't done it. I'm kind of disappointed in myself. Well, I just did it now, and I was going to start this episode by doing I didn't do that, so I'm going to end it with it. Boom, baka laka taka ching chang boom. I love you all. I appreciate you all. And thanks for listening. Follow me, because I guess then you can see like bonus content that I didn't even know I posted as like bonus only see if you're following. So hey. And yeah, I'll catch you on the fly. Catch you in the next. Don't know what it'll be. Bye-bye. So I really wanted to put this in, but I didn't know where, so I'm going to put it after the ending, and then it'll end. Thank you. Goodbye. If you guys have not seen the HelloFresh commercial with Keke Palmer, oh my god, you need to go watch it, like, right now. Her lime green outfit, I'm obsessed with, and her makeup is on point, and she's just like, oh, I love it so much. I'm just like, girl, you slayed hard, and I just, like, every time I see it, I actually watch it, even though I have no, like, I don't do HelloFresh or anything. I have none of that. So that was all. I appreciate all of you. I hope you have a good night and a good day and a good week. Talk to you on Thursday.